Hi, I want to talk about Korg technology or Korg keyboards uh, and how they've developed over time. It's really an amazing story. Um, I remember early on in like the 80s, I would buy Keyboard magazine, and inside would always be a little, one of these little, you tear it out records, and they had one of Keith Emerson playing on a, I think it was an M1, Korg M1, and he was playing the piano on it, and the sound was like nothing else at that time frame. And I always had in the back of my mind, I need to get myself a Korg one day. Well, ironically, I didn't start with a Korg. I actually ended up having a Casio CZ1000, which was a do-it-yourself. You had to dial in your sounds. They had a few, weird sounds and stuff that, but you knew instantly that, you just go into the envelope generators and create. You had a sine wave or a square wave if you're looking for woody stuff. If you needed a brass, you could actually change your attack times, slopes on things if you wanted a slow ramp and stuff, but you did it all. You did the programming. And so that was my first taste of synthesizers. And then I actually threw a Roland sound module onto it that I MIDI'd into. So I was getting some Roland sounds off of the CZ1000. Which was actually coming out pretty good on, I was doing some top 40 gigs that I needed a little more update, and than the analog synth itself. And that was actually, it was still analog, but it was a plus. I think Roland put out a pretty nice sound at that time frame too. So then the next thing I knew, I was actually a proud owner of a Korg Trinity Pro V3, and it was an amazing performance instrument. It still is. I still have it, and I would never part with that instrument. It's the craziest live performing instrument I've ever seen, because it has aftertouch, which is something that Korg got away from. Which is unfortunate. I don't know why they did that, because it's such a great medium to, actually get something else if you push in a little harder and stuff. And you could actually even sometimes change to a different patch, different sound timbre. So, absolutely amazing. Well, I guess you still can do that in Korg, right? Because you can dial in that, oh, such and such a sound will start after you get this velocity. Other sounds will only play at the lower velocity. So this is something that Korg has always worked on, getting different strikes, different sounds embedded into the board. So the Korg Trinity, that was my first taste of a really great Korg. And it had, ribbon controllers, joystick. I keep saying had, it still has. And wonderful, wonderful, wonderful instrument. I recorded 3 albums with it. And it was just an amazing godsend. And I actually even recorded that on a Korg D1200 digital recording studio. And it would just burn the disc out. The disc would go off the CD baby, and then they would digitize it, and it's available on all the download media sites going. They're a really great outfit for pushing your music out there. And of course, we know CDs themselves are a thing of the past, but CD Baby is not. It's actually a pretty good independent music site. If somebody wants to get their music out. And, of course, we know CDs themselves are a thing of the past, but CD Baby is not. It's actually a pretty good independent music site. If somebody wants to get their music out. If somebody wants to get their music out. you don't necessarily have to, you know, this is a music store, so that makes you an accredited music store, so people can buy your music, and it also will, you know, give it its own personal serial number and stuff, so it's, you know, it's very easy to sell and market. So that's how I started my first 3 albums, with just a Korg Trinity, the D1200, and whatever guitars and basses that I were gonna, you know, put on top of them. Sometimes the bass would be in the Trinity, maybe even doubling the bass. And then my next move was, I was really interested in where Korg took it to, and I would say that would start, you know, basically the flagship, the Kronos. And I, you know, there's another one. I have the Krome, and I love it. That is a great machine for a great price. So it's right here. Now if I hit this button, which just brought the whole thing up an octave, and you can get some really great piano timbres. Now that's straight off the line. Of course, naturally, if I want to really make this thing sing, then I'm going to go in and insert some effects. I'm going to change up the EQ for a start, and then I'm going to throw on some really nice, you know, there's plenty of effects in Korg. You cannot go wrong. The Krome offers a pretty decent amount of effects that you can throw on. Now, there's the Krome. Right over here is the Nautilus. And the Korg Nautilus is just an absolutely unbelievable machine. In the fact that, say, okay, so let me see, I'll go into program mode, okay, and I'm on just a grand dry ambient, right? Now here's where it gets really cool. Okay, so that was one patch, right? Now they've developed this new thing, and this was just being pushed on Korg by all the keyboard players who were saying, we want to be able to go seamlessly from one sound to the next, and it sounds like one thing. Don't give me a stop and a start. Just go. And so this is what that sounds like. So I'm going to go from that. So I went from the Nautilus Grand Dry right straight into the Italian Grand. And if I want to go back, I can do that. See? So I can change on a dime. So it's amazing how you can switch, you know, and you lose no sound between. So that is the that's it. That's the zinger for me. Not to mention that every single note is sampled at 2 gigabits. and at 12 different dynamic levels. So from very soft to extremely fortissimo. And so you get the realism that's just unbelievable. Let's see, let's try let's go for a string sound. I think I was doing this one last night, luscious strings. Beautiful strings, beautiful strings. I mean, and again, I'm just doing the dry sounds. You know, you can go in and insert some gorgeous effects that just transforms it completely. And then the sound engines are amazing. So, you know, say I want to do an arpeggio. That drum wasn't exactly where I'd like it to be. Let's go with and of course, Korg is just crazy well known for their motion synths and stuff, and their special effects. So let's see what this baby's got. If you go forward on the Y, plus Y, it'll give some sort of a modulation. usually a vibrato of some kind. On the way down, on minus Y, Korg does some really interesting things. Alright, so this one it was really cool. Plus is, of course, a pitch bend, plus Y, X. Minus X will give you a pitch down and stuff. So they got some cool things. Now let's say I go with one of these, start the op up, and let's let the Krome do some of this stuff too. So let's go. Okay, so let me see. I want to do this. Cancel that. Let's go like this. We'll let the Krome do some. Time the joystick minus Y went up. Switch 1 brings the thing up an octave. That can bring some fun. Oh, that's your plus Y. No hands. So it's an amazing machine, and it's just amazing what Korg does. So hats off. I could never do this kind of music without that company. Thank you.